What's up, everyone? Welcome back to What's Warhammer. I'm Greasier Rob, and today I'm going to do a review of the Infinity Cr Plus airbrush. And spoiler alert, if you want to just get right down to it, do I recommend it? 100%. I have never seen anything like it. Okay, so now I'm going to go into all the details and whatnot. But first, I'm going to talk about my experiences thus far with other airbrushes real quick, so you can have like a basis for comparison, right? So I started out with an airbrush that my brother gave me, and like many others, I broke it because it's a really common thing to do. The sort of common expression when you get into airbrushing and you ask someone, what airbrush should I get? A lot of people say the Iwata Neo because it's cheap. And because the expression goes, everyone breaks their first airbrush, which isn't true. Obviously, it's hyperbole, but I broke my first airbrush because they're really delicate. And the reason everyone breaks them, and full disclosure, I loosened this ahead of time, is because of these nozzles and how they work. Whoops, sorry. Can I get it? There we go. So as you can maybe see right here, it's basically got a little flat bit that you use a wrench to get it on or off. And the reason everyone breaks it is because it's incredibly easy to do. You put a little too much pressure. Sorry, my camera's just going nuts here, guys. Clearly I didn't rehearse it. There we go. Oh man, that's so hard. Okay, so anyway, you can see the little flat bit at the base of it. That's what you use to get it on and off via a wrench, okay? And basically you have to put it on finger tight and then just ever so slightly tweak it, like so you can barely even feel it. And if you go past that, you can rip the nozzle right off at the base, which is exactly what happened to me. And I broke an expensive airbrush, unfortunately, that my brother gave to me, who luckily had a few extra because he's a professional airbrush artist, but I felt absolutely terrible about it. And anyone would, obviously, who is, breaking something that's expensive, unless money is no object for them. But how many of those people are out there, really, right? So that's the downside to a traditional airbrush. And the other downside, of course, to a cheaper airbrush, and Iwata, has expensive airbrush, obviously, but this one is a cheaper one. It's more of a workhorse, but as you can kind of see, if you look inside the cup here, is that the finish on a cheaper airbrush like this isn't as good. And this isn't even a Neo. A Neo is, less than half of the cost of a Revolution. And they certainly don't have a very nice finish on them. So eventually it will get, the chrome will get rubbed off and you will have to deal with that. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I still use this airbrush. It's great. But that's sort of what you're dealing with traditionally. Okay. Now we move over to the, got a sticker on the front. I forgot. Anyway, this is the Infinity Cr Plus. Now, right off the hop, it has a nicer finish. And I've been using this for, I don't remember how long, almost a year now, I think. And it has not rubbed off at all. It has a nicer finish. I have confirmed that. It is a dual action, same as most airbrushes are, right? But where this airbrush really goes ahead of the competition is in this device in the back here, wherein you can actually tighten this piece back here or loosen it to the exact degree you want, and then the the amount that you can pull back to which changes how much paint you get, can be locked into place. So if you're not really good at airbrushing, and who is right off the hop, right? You can lock it in place, and then you just pop it out when you want to be able to go all the way back, right? And you can tighten it down as far as you want so it just barely goes back, right? See how far it goes back there? Pop it out, boom, all the way back. Oops, and I just popped it out because I didn't have the needle in. I've started not storing it with a needle. Anyway, so this is actually an amazing feature when you're trying to do detailed work on, you know, a project. I use it for painting models, obviously, and I did do this with this airbrush. It's not done, but like, you know, like you can see I've done some hot spots and whatnot, and yeah, it's perfect for any of that stuff. I don't have the other nozzle that is like, I've only got the 1.2 nozzle, which is very small, because this one's a 0.5. So this is my workhorse, priming, etc. And then I've been doing my detail work, but I'm actually thinking about picking up a new nozzle, so like just so I can just use one airbrush, because my favorite feature, what most people get sold on by the CR Infinity, and by the company in particular, Harder Steenbeck, or hard, what is it? One second. Harder Steenbeck. Okay, it's Harder and Steenbeck. Is that they is probably this feature, and the fact that you're getting a nicer airbrush with a nicer finish for a much better price comparatively than you would with an Iwata. But my favorite feature by far and away is the nozzle. Now, this is the little sort of crown here that keeps you from bending your needle. And I do prefer this style, but this style, because when you're doing the backwash technique, you can just put your finger over the top, whereas something like this, you need to pinch it. It's personal preference. It's not that big a deal, you know. Definitely this style, it gets the paint trapped in here less. It doesn't, get fudged up that way. But anyway, on to my absolute favorite feature of any airbrush I've ever come across. So first of all, I did it off camera, but to loosen and to tighten this one, I use a pair of pliers, and I just put some paper towel around it, and then that's how I tighten it or untighten it. Because if I don't do it that way, then I find that paint sort of like will leak out the corner of the Iwata, not on this one. But this one you can use, everything can be done with your fingers. And I literally I had not even loosened that, but I need to use this because, yeah, there we go. I just need to use a little paper towel. But the best feature by far is that the nozzle itself can be taken out by hand, right? And why is that so important? Well, as I said earlier, the whole way that you're going to break your airbrush is by using the wrench to take it on or off. And so if this nozzle is done by hand, you can not only not worry about that, but it's so much faster as well. Like, it's not like you have to even fiddle with it. You just pop it off, clean it out, which you have to do, more often than you would likely, unless you're just not maintaining your airbrush. But, clogs happen even to the professionals. And so this airbrush, it just stands out so far. And I would go with this even if it was the same price as an Iwata at this point, knowing what I know now. But most people don't want to spend a lot of money on their first airbrush. So, they go for the cheaper airbrushes. They tend to break them. And then whether they stick with this hobby, or using this tool in another hobby. It really depends on their experience thus far. And, I really don't like changing, or sorry, not changing, but taking out the nozzle on this even now, just because I really didn't put too much pressure on it. I really didn't. And it, sorry, I did put too much pressure on it, but that was so small that it still kind of scares me. Because I really baby my stuff. Anyway, so that is the common expression. I actually have a friend who owns an Iwata, and he's broken 2 nozzles or maybe 3. And luckily he was able to get them all out. I wasn't so lucky, and I took it to my brother, who has done the same thing. He's a professional airbrush artist here in Canada, Excalibur Airbrushing. He's a fairly well-known airbrush artist. He has 7 airbrushes, and he knows what he's doing. He's been doing it for 15 years or more, right? So, not only would I recommend this to intermediate to even or even advanced level airbrush artists, but for a beginner, spend the extra money, get this, and then that way, cleaning it is easier, airbrushing is easier, and you don't have to worry about breaking the nozzle, because if you're going to break anything, that's what it's going to be. So last but not least, or last maybe least for some people, I don't know, this one, as you can see, you cannot change the cup, right? There's nothing there. But this one, you can change the cup. And why is that important? Well, it's important because if you want a bigger cup or a smaller cup, personal preference and all that, you can change it to whatever you like, right? And as I said earlier, though this one has a different crown on it, you can get another crown. Also, by the way, this isn't a screw crown, whereas the Iwata one is. It's just done it just slips on and off, and it works great like that. You can also get a more traditional crown on the front here. You can also, for the Infinity Cr Plus in particular, you can actually get different nozzle and needle sizes, so that you don't need to buy a whole new airbrush. You can just buy a different nozzle and needle, whereas most, at least all Iwata airbrushes that I know of, you can't do that. Okay, so at the end of the day, this is by far the best airbrush I have ever come across, especially for beginners. It's the best price for the best quality, and I would recommend it to absolutely anyone. It's the Infinity. I'm getting nothing for saying this. I don't have a big enough channel to get some kind of sponsorship. So, and on that note, by the way, I just wanted to say I got this from spraygunner.com, and though I'm from Canada and they're in the States, it was by far the cheapest place to get it. Excuse me, cough there. They actually offered free shipping to Canada, which is super rare. I mean, I've never even come across that on another airbrush site. And though there was a Canadian company that had this airbrush, it was way cheaper to get it from the States. And then I had an issue, and I won't say what it was. And the only reason I won't say that is because I just don't want them to be taken advantage of. But they are so nice. So I'm going to put a link to their website in the description, because I really want people to check them out. And the whole point of mentioning that, it was cheaper even from Canada is to say that if you're in the States, it's even cheaper, because you're not dealing with conversions and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just by far the best and cheapest place to get an airbrush. It seems to me. I haven't found anything even remotely close, and their customer service once again was fantastic. They went above and beyond. So yeah, Infinity Cr Plus, check it out on spraygunner.com. I'm getting nothing for saying any of this. They didn't ask me to do it, but you know, hopefully they see this and they do appreciate it. That I couldn't recommend them enough, and yeah, maybe in the future, you know, we can, you know, something could be done. Like maybe they would want to just put out like a coupon code or something like that. I don't know, just for people to be enticed to shopping with them, because they are absolutely fantastic. So anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Adios.